BM8 UNFILTERED. 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 BM8 UNFILTEred.
A very good day, Zambia, and I trust you're having a great evening wherever you're watching this from. This is BM8 Unfiltered. My name is Buchi, and I am your host. Every Friday, we have an interaction with Tonse Alliance President, Honorable Brian Mundubile, and also 2026 candidate for the Tonse Alliance, Honorable Brian Mundubile, sits down with all of us and answers all the questions that are burning on our hearts. Those questions you've been sending, we've really loved the feedback. The feedback has been amazing, and you're moving together with us. So keep sending those particular questions in the comment section. There's a number there. You can send the questions directly to that number, and we'll be able to answer those particular questions, or rather, the Tonse Alliance candidate for 2026 general elections will be able to answer those particular questions. Now, one thing that I want to mention is we are also happy with how you've been sharing the videos as they go up on the different platforms. You can watch these videos on the Brian Mundubile Facebook page. Just search Brian Mundubile Facebook on Facebook, and you'll be able to watch these particular videos. Also, you can watch the video on Hot FM Facebook page. You can watch the videos, short videos on TikTok as well. You can watch on YouTube, and you can also watch on Ifintu Nilungu. And that way, you'll be able to interact with us here in studio, and we can have a whole conversation around things that are affecting this country, and we can produce a Zambia that we will be proud of. With that said, allow me to introduce the man of the moment, Honorable Brian Mundubile. Sir, welcome.
Thank you, Buchi. I'm happy to be here this evening as usual.
Busy week?
Oh, it's been a very busy week, an exciting one for that matter.
And indeed, just to start off, first of all, on a sad note, this week we saw the nation hold two national mournings, national mourning events, and the persons in question happened to be Ambassador Ngalande and Dr. Mtumba Bu as well. Let's begin by talking about the legacy of these men who served the country in the beginning. Just talk about service. What do these people represent to you?
Yes, thank you, Buchi. First of all, I'll start by greeting the people out there. I'm saying to GVAP, my relatives in Solwezi, my relatives in Choma, I'm saying Tulibuti. In Northern Province, I'm saying Mulibwanji, Tulishani, Luchwani. To talk about the two leaders, Buchi, we are talking about leaders that dedicated their patriotic service to this country. Now, you're talking about selflessness as a central aspect of this. If these leaders, for instance, were like some of the leaders that we have today, given the positions they held, given the power that they had they behaved in the same manner as some of the leaders behave today, we would have had no minds to talk about. Because what they would have simply done, they would have gone round to incorporate companies and given away these national assets, as it were. If these leaders were not selfless, we would have had no public roads today, because the roads would have been auctioned. The roads would have been concessioned to their friends, and they're going to collect tolls for a couple of years. The very reason why we have some of these assets like mines, public roads, and many other assets that we have today is because the leaders of yesterday were selfless. They were patriotic, and they served this country with diligence. Those are the lessons that every leader is supposed to learn today. Patriotic service, selflessness, being able to offer that service without selfish interests. Today, leadership is about self-aggrandizement. What is he going to get out of it? But these leaders, and I'm sure they led very, very decent and humble lives, because throughout their public service, they dedicated their lives to serve the people of Zambia. So those are the lessons that we learned today from the two distinguished citizens.
Condolences to both the families in question. Let's get to talk about today. Today for you is such a happy day for you. It's a big day for the Tonse Alliance as you receive new members. And these new members coming from the Movement for Good Governance, which is led by Honorable Binwa Mpundu. Just talk about the significance of him and the political party moving and joining the Tonse Alliance. A big day for you.
Well, first of all, I want to describe my younger brother, Binwa Mpundu, as a very courageous leader. He's one person that I worked with in Parliament. He was among the young leaders that I would work very closely with. We collaborated very closely and ensured that we indeed put government to account for the many things that they did. And I'm sure that the name Binwa Mpundu is known by all. When he started this movement for good governance, called Ichawaiche. Other people did not know how far he would go. I personally had a chat with him and encouraged him because I knew that he had what it took. He had the courage, he had the charisma, and indeed the leadership qualities and capabilities to be able to put the youths together. So I indeed, I'm very excited that Ichawaiche, or Movement for Good Governance, has come to join Tonse. It's a very, very important component, Abuchi. You must understand that the foundation, the very foundation of every nation is actually the youth, you know? And if we don't take care of the foundation, if the foundation is destroyed, what shall the righteous do? So says the Bible, okay? So it's very important that for any nation to focus and indeed build, they must focus on its foundation. The strength of any building is based on the strength of its foundation, as it were. Yeah.
So we'll still be having a lot more of these particular conversations. Don't move or touch that particular dial. We'll take a short break. When we come back, he answers more of those particular questions, and also the president addressed the nation. We want to hear what President Honorable Brian Mundubile has to say regarding some of the things that the president put across in Parliament today.
Hello, Zambia. My name is Brian Mundubile. As a leader, my duty is clear: to listen without fear, and to speak the truth without compromise, and to stand firmly with the people of this nation. Join me every Friday at 20 hours for BM8 UNFILTERED. You can watch live on Facebook and YouTube. For too long, politicians have done all the talking without listening to you. I want to change that. I'm ready to listen. Whether in the village or in the city, I want to hear from you. Record a short 6-second video of your question or message and send it to the WhatsApp number below. And I'll be sure to answer it during the BM8 UNFILTERED show on Friday. Tell me how you want Zambia to work for you. Nothing is off limits. Let's build the future of this country together. Hello, Zambia. My name is Brian Mundubile. As a leader, my duty is clear: to listen without fear, and to speak the truth without compromise, and to stand firmly with the people of this nation. Join me every Friday at 20 hours for BM8 UNFILTERED. You can watch live on Facebook and YouTube. For too long, politicians have done all the talking without listening to you. I want to change that. I'm ready to listen. Whether in the village or in the city, I want to hear from you. Record a short 6-second video of your question or message and send it to the WhatsApp number below. And I'll be sure to answer it during the BM8 UNFILTERED show on Friday. Tell me how you want Zambia to work for you. Nothing is off limits. Let's build the future of this country together.
And the big question is still here. We're still having a discussion with Honorable Brian Mundubile. If you're catching us on the Brian Mundubile Facebook page, well and good. If you're catching us on Ifinto Nilungu Facebook page, well and good. If you're catching us on the Hot FM Facebook page, leave us a comment, send your questions to the number that's currently on your screens, and we'll be able to respond to those particular questions. We're just talking about the movement for good governance led by Honorable Binu Mpundu, who's just joined the Tonse Alliance. And you were just responding to that. As you respond to that, I want to just hear more about the role of young people in joining the Tonse Alliance, because I think Chabota, when he spoke as well at the ceremony today, he spoke about how young people are going to participate in their own governance, and how they will be part of the decision makers come 2027 and moving forward. What's your takeaway, and how do you want to work with the young people in Zambia?
Well, first of all, Butch, you must understand that youths make it happen. The youths just make it happen. And the reasons are simple. These are natural reasons. One, they've got the energy. Two, they've got the initiatives, the innovation, and everything else. So youths make it happen. So in the Tonse Alliance, we want to amplify, we want to accentuate the roles of the youths. And their participation should not just be restricted to the Committee on Youths, who appoint them to leadership positions, even in other sectors, as it were. So to start with, we are incorporating the Ichawaiche, the youth wing, and be able to distribute the youth leaders in many other sectors. So they begin to participate in the key decisions that will be made within Tonse and after winning elections within government, as it were. So the most important thing to note, the only difference is that Biggie, or you like Zebige, or Big Brother, will sit and listen to the youths. That's what is very important. One, the youths know what to do. The youths make it happen. All they need is a political will. They need a Big Brother to sit and say, okay, so Buchi, how are we going to go about that? Share ideas and agree. Because today, Buchi, if you go, you look at performing arts, for instance, visual arts, you look at music, you look at art, there are many youths that are so talented. The question to ask is that, has government ever stepped in to try and assist these youths? Look at the many attempts the youths have made. And we are not talking about youths that are graduating only, okay? It's youths across all categories. The youths that we talk about under Tonse, under this particular wing, as we admit Ichawaiche, we're talking about even the youths that never had an opportunity to go to school. But God has put something, has put a talent in them. We want to go out, tap that talent, see the best that we can make out of them. So it's the whole package. We are looking at the whole package to work with the youths. Those that are entrepreneurs will do backward and forward integration. And I'm very, very serious about that. So to ensure that the many plans that we have, Buchi, for the youths do work, the first thing the Biggie will do once he gets into government is to place the Ministry of Youth and Sport under State House. How's that? Yeah? Yeah, so you've seen that whenever we've had programs, let's say disasters, be it cholera and so on, and government wants to implement certain programs at an accelerated pace, they place them under either Office of the Vice President or indeed Office of the President for quick implementation of policies. We are saying, as Tonse, that the youths have been left behind for far too long. It's a near disaster because we have so many youths, okay, out there who have not been assisted. They've been to school, they've got talents, they've got everything else that we need. And yet the numbers are piling up, the numbers are increasing, and they haven't received help. So if we don't take up accelerated measures, okay, some disruptive measures to ensure that we incorporate and include the youths in our programs, we will definitely have a backlog, and we'll continue having backlogs like we've had.
Let's talk about the President Hakainde Hichilema, who this morning addressed the National Assembly as a constitutional requirement, addressing the nation on the application of national values and principles. What do you make of his speech?
Well, first of all, it's a constitutional requirement. It's a constitutional requirement that the President comes to Parliament twice a year to come and talk about national values and principles. And included under Article 8, you'll have morality and ethics, you'll have patriotism and national unity, you'll have democracy and constitutionalism, you have human dignity, equity and social justice, equality and non-discrimination, good governance and integrity and sustainable development. Now, that's a very, very important address to the nation. If you ask me, well, of course, I was not in the House today. I was engaged elsewhere. But let's take, for instance, the President is supposed to address the nation on these heads. What did President Hakainde Hichilema say about democracy and constitutionalism? What did he say? What could he say about democracy and constitutionalism in the face of Bill 7, in the face of the processes, in the face of the Constitutional Court judgment against Bill 7? What report did the President bring on this particular aspect? If you talk about human dignity and equity, I wonder what the president said. I wonder what the president said. Patriotism and national unity, morality and ethics, good governance and integrity. So there's very little the president can say under these heads as required by the Constitution. So Buchi, what you have a constitution that tries to shape the conduct of leaders by compelling the president to come to parliament to report on these various heads. But you realize that the President Hakainde Hichilema, may have missed it completely. The idea is that if he looked at all this, he would be aiming at coming with a better report year on year. But the report is getting worse. If you talk about, like I said, democracy and constitutionalism, if you talk about patriotism and national unity, we have come here and said, go to Article 259. Article 259 is very instructive. It's very instructive in that it guides the leaders on the appointment of people, taking into account regional diversity, age, gender, and many others. I don't think President Hakainde Hichilema is doing well on that score. So therefore, I wonder what he would say about patriotism and national unity.
Well, he did hint at the Chawama by-election, saying, look, we did have a peaceful election in Chawama, and congratulated the new member of parliament coming in. What do you make of that?
Well, the details are all there. After Chawama, there was Kasama. I think Kasama was the latest election. I didn't expect the president to have the same comments about Kasama. Today, we lost 4 vehicles in Kasama on account of violence that we saw. We saw that there was a lot of electoral malpractices going on there. So really, I did not expect him to have a good report as regards Kasama. Talk about justice. What report did the president have? Did he have any report on on social justice, equality, and non-discrimination? Do you know, Buchi, today as a youth, if you wanted to do business with government and you apply for a tender, you are bidding, to do something, the first thing they will do is to ask for a PACRA document. Somebody wants to know the names of the people that are running this company. That is discrimination. I did not expect the president to talk about non-discrimination. It has never happened in the history of this country. Did you know, Buchi, that when you incorporate a company at law is a person different from the owners or the promoters of that company? Okay? So when you incorporate Buchi Limited, even if you used your name, Buchi Limited is a person at law. There is no need, Buchi, that when you apply to do a job with government, you apply for a contract with government. We want to supply bags to FRA. You want to supply something to government. When they're evaluating the tender, somebody goes and says, go and bring the PACRA document. We want to know who is behind that. That's the beginning of discrimination. If for some reason, the people that are looking at those names don't like your name, for whatever reason, you will never get those jobs. There are many youths today who've been discriminated on account of their names because of that backing sheet that they ask for PACRA document. But the good news, Buchi, I said this to the youths today. I said the biggie will ensure that such practices are not entertained at all. And it's a warning to civil servants. For those civil servants that have been entertaining such practices, which are not provided for anywhere in the law, you ought to stop it. Under the biggest government, there will be no discrimination. The biggest is not interested. The biggest government will not be interested to know who's behind Buchi Limited. If Buchi Limited is bidding, Buchi is a Zambian company run by Zambians. Do they qualify? Are they eligible to supply ABC goods or services? If they qualify, they get the tender.
The president also spoke about the success of CDF and that he hopes, God willing, that he would increase that the government would increase the funding to CDF. What do you make of CDF and also looking at increasing its funding and how it's been managed for the last 5 years?
Butch, I've said this and I will not get tired of saying it. CDF is simply 2.5% of the budget. It doesn't matter, even if you increase it to 50 million kwacha, okay? It may be 2.6, 2.7% of the budget. So the success we're supposed to be talking about today, especially that we're talking about youths, Buchi. We are talking about, have we built any youth entrepreneurs out of the CDF? The president is supposed to be concerned about industrialization. The president should be concerned about youth employment. The president is supposed to be coming up, he's supposed to be focused on measures that are going to create employment for the youths. Measures that are going to create opportunities for the youths. You would be interested to know that, you see, government is the biggest opportunity creator. But we haven't seen that happen in CDF, simply because this is not the only way that government can bring about entrepreneurship or indeed create industries. You know, this government has lost opportunities, and I think that as the biggest government will be very clear with how they are going to run. Number one, as Buchi, we talked about aggregators, how we are going to help youths using aggregators. We talked about how we'll ensure that the youths in mining are trained on safe mining, environmental protection, financial management, plus. These youths are assisted with equipment. That's backward integration. First of all, they're assisted by government services to ensure that we know where they should focus on mining their minerals. They're assisted with equipment and capital. And thereafter, there's an aggregator, an off-taker to get those minerals from them. They would have been assisted. For those that are in farming, it's the same thing. For those that are in music and art and performing arts, we are going to enact a law that will turn this particular industry into an economic industry. And we begin to focus on these youths that are so talented, these youths that are so skilled, these youths that have got this God-given gift to produce films, as it were. There are so many of our youths out there. So the focus is not so much about, the president needs to understand there's a real problem here, there. The problem is unemployment, especially amongst the youths. So it's not possible to fight poverty successfully without creating employment, without industrialization. So if CDF was, if CDF was performing, the president should have come with a report on how many industries, how many factories have been created out of the CDF. Without that, this country will not move. You know, you can't focus on social protection. The budgets for the UPND are over 1 trillion from the time they got into power. Okay? They haven't done a single road, I can tell you that. My friends have not done a single road from the time they got into power, and yet their budgets are over 1 trillion, the highest ever in the history of this country. So why should the president always focus on CDF? This is for local government. Let the council chairpersons be reporting on CDF. We expect the president to be reporting. Look at Kazungula Bridge. Kazungula Bridge was done under the administration of the PF, under Edgar Chagwa. We expect to be dealing with projects of that magnitude that are going to open up this country. Open up Kasaba Bay, for instance. Open up Kalungushi farming block. Open up Luena farming block. The Minister of Finance in every budget has been announcing and talking about the actualization of these farming blocks. Today, we should have had youths in agriculture in northern, central, eastern, southern, northwestern provinces, doing something. This is 5 years later. Nothing has happened. So as opposed to focusing on these small projects, Mr. President, that's only 2%, 2.5% of the budget. Why don't you spend 15% of the budget on agriculture and create the farming blocks? It will be a totally different story. The youths are worried. The youths in Lusaka, talk to me. We're talking about youths today. How many youths here in Lusaka, be it in Lusaka Central, appreciate the CDF? What has it done for them? Has it ever done anything for you? So we need to change the thinking.
Let's also talk about the use of digital platforms. He called for responsible use of digital platforms and also accused people in the diaspora of misusing and spreading false information online. What do you make of that particular statement?
Well, of course, we all understand that digital platforms must be used responsibly. But we also understand that the laws that are enacted should not contradict the Constitution. You'll understand, Buchi, that Part 3 of the Constitution contains fundamental rights of every citizen, okay? And that any law that is enacted and contradicts those fundamental rights, that law is now and void. So then you begin to wonder, a digital platform is just new technology, but in essence, the existing laws the new laws that are being enacted should not in any way contradict the Constitution. But what we are seeing today, citizens can't even speak. You know, most of our talented youths, men and women, when you ask their name, or if they were to call in here, they're using the name AI, Nishkwete lawyer. That should be a source of concern. The president should have been concerned today when he was addressing the nation to say, why is it that for the first time in the history of this country, citizens can no longer identify themselves on radio? The youths can't identify themselves on radio. They're saying Nishkwete lawyer in just to be able to make a point across. Okay? So, yes, these digital platforms must be used responsibly. But that is not a passport to gag citizens, whether they're in the diaspora or they are within the country. People must be free to express their opinions, even if their opinions may not exactly agree with what we believe in. Let them, that's their opinion. That's their opinion. It's only cowards, Butch, that are so scared to be criticized. You know, we want to call upon even you, the youths that are coming into leadership. You must have a big chest. You must have a thick skin. Allow people to criticize you. You must be able to take criticism. Don't be a coward. Don't, aim to step on whoever has a divergent view. This is what we're seeing by the enactment of some of these laws.
Just before we go for a break, I wanted you to speak to a big event that happened this particular week. For the first time since coming into office, the president fired 2 ministers in office. That's Honorable Mwanga and as well as Honorable Muchima. What did you make of the president making that particular decision?
I was very disappointed. I expected him to fire 10. They're supposed to be 10. You know for the longest time that the past 2 to 3 years, there are 10 names at SEC. Ministers who've been, who are facing corruption charges. There are corruption charges against ministers that were involved in the 61 containers. There are reports against ministers who were involved in some corruption to do with the pipeline. There are reports about ministers involved corruption involving import of electricity and many other road contracts like the dual carriageway. There are ministers who are being investigated. Ministers who are being investigated on the transactions around the mines. To have fired only 2, you should have fired 10. We were expecting not less than 10 ministers to be fired. So really, I was very disappointed. I wonder why the 2 should have been victimized. You should also be surprised. You should also wonder exactly what they did. Because, put it this way, we've had cases here in Zambia where a contractor writes a letter to the president to say your minister was soliciting for a bribe of 2 million rands and a brand new vehicle. Here is the evidence. That minister was not fired. We have had cases where 61 containers, ministers are involved in some corruption to do with 61 containers of medicines, and they're not fired. Ministers have transferred public assets like the Lusaka and Ndola dual carriageway, avoiding parliamentary procedure. Ministers involved in the Ndola Lusaka dual carriageway, for instance, could allow a contractor to be on site for 1 full year without a consultant. That is corruption. That is corruption. And all these ministers have not been fired. I really wonder what these 2 did. I've never known President Hakainde Hichilema to fire people that are corrupt. I have never known that. They must have done something else. It has nothing to do with corruption, I'm sure.
Speculation is that it could have been how they voted, that it's linked to the pattern of the voting that happened for Bill 7. What do you make of that?
I would agree with that. I think that's the only thing, that's the only reason that would cause President Hakainde Hichilema to fire his ministers. He would never fire them for corruption. Never. He would never fire any of his ministers for corruption. Because for the past 2 years, we've been pushing him to fire these ministers for corruption. Never. So even those that are arraigned and brought before the courts of law, there was a case in Livingston. I don't want to talk about it. Okay? A clear case. You know, a clear case of corruption. Okay? And the person is let free. So it's only corruption if it involves a leader or somebody from the opposition. Never in the UPND. And yet, citizens, Zambian citizens, can clearly see what is going on. So President Hakainde Hichilema, don't make a mistake about it. President Hakainde Hichilema can never fire anybody for corruption. I don't know why.
Well, we take a short break. When we do come back, Honorable Brian Mundubile, Tonse Alliance President, is going to address some of the questions that you've been sending on our WhatsApp number. Remember, we're live on the Brian Mundubile Facebook page, also live on Ifinto Nilungu Facebook page, the Hot FM page, and as well as on TikTok and YouTube. So make sure you leave us those comments, and we'll be able to read them out as we come back in just a few minutes.
Hello, Zambia. My name is Brian Mundubile. As a leader, my duty is clear: to listen without fear, and to speak the truth without compromise, and to stand firmly with the people of this nation. Join me every Friday at 20 hours for BM8 Unfiltered. You can watch live on Facebook and YouTube. For too long, politicians have done all the talking without listening to you. I want to change that. I'm ready to listen. Whether in the village or in the city, I want to hear from you. Record a short 6-second video of your question or message and send it to the WhatsApp number below. And I'll be sure to answer it during the BM8 Unfiltered show on Friday. Tell me how you want Zambia to work for you. Nothing is off limits. Let's build the future of this country together. Hello, Zambia. My name is Brian Mundubile. As a leader, my duty is clear: to listen without fear, and to speak the truth without compromise, and to stand firmly with the people of this nation. Join me every Friday at 20 hours for BM8 Unfiltered. You can watch live on Facebook and YouTube. For too long, politicians have done all the talking without listening to you. I want to change that. I'm ready to listen. Whether in the village or in the city, I want to hear from you. Record a short 6-second video of your question or message and send it to the WhatsApp number below. And I'll be sure to answer it during the BM8 Unfiltered show on Friday. Tell me how you want Zambia to work for you. Nothing is off limits. Let's build the future of this country together. Hello, Zambia. My name is Brian Mundubile. As a leader, my duty is clear: to listen without fear, and to speak the truth without compromise, and to stand firmly with the people of this nation. Join me every Friday at 20 hours for BM8 Unfiltered. You can watch live on Facebook and YouTube. For too long, politicians have done all the talking without listening to you. I want to change that. I'm ready to listen. Whether in the village or in the city, I want to hear from you. Record a short 6-second video of your question or message and send it to the WhatsApp number below. And I'll be sure to answer it during the BM8 Unfiltered show on Friday. Tell me how you want Zambia to work for you. Nothing is off limits. Let's build the future of this country together. Hello, Zambia.
Welcome to BM8 Unfiltered. And we just took a short break. And we are live on various various pages, one of them being Ifintu Nilungu Facebook page, the Hot FM Facebook page, and also on YouTube. If you're going to YouTube, just search BM8 Unfiltered, and you will be able to see the video, and you could leave us a comment there, and we'll be able to discuss. Now, remember, the second part of this is where you send us those particular questions, and we get to those immediately. Before we get to those, let's talk about real politics. The Registrar of Societies is demanding that political alliances must register in order to participate in the August elections, and this appears to be an overreach by the registrar. As Tonse, how do you plan to navigate this?
Well, first of all, it's some cowardly act, where the ruling party is clearly uncomfortable with the growing popularity of Tonse. Tonse is targeted in this particular case. You make no mistake about it, okay? Because the UPND has realized that, yes, they played games with the PF. They made sure that the court cases for the PF are not resolved expeditiously. And as a result of that, it was their wish. They wanted to be the only ones on the ballot. But of course, Zambians are resolved. There's been a lot of pressure from Zambians calling upon opposition political parties to come together. I want to tell you that Tonse now has 12 political parties, and they have another 12 or 13 civil society organizations. So Tonse remains the largest opposition alliance in Zambia. So to try and frustrate the efforts of Tonse, they will try and do all these machinations. But the Zambians are resolved. Just like as Tonse, we are resolved. We are going to field candidates on a special purpose vehicle. Yes, we'll avoid all these registrations that they want. You know that the UPND is in power today as a UPND alliance, and nobody forced them to go or asked them to go and register, but they were allowed to participate. But in this particular case, we'll still proceed and participate under a special purpose vehicle.
Another thing that I wanted you to make a quick comment on the fight against corruption. The Anti-Corruption Commission this week revealed that it had closed all investigation relating to serving ministers and Solicitor General in the UPND administration. What do you make of the fight against corruption, especially these days?
Buchi, I've said this before and I'll say it again. If you get the period from 2021 up to date, let's just take the FIC report. There are suspicious transactions reported under the FIC. There's been $3.5 billion. There's been $2.2 billion. There's been 60 billion kwacha. There's been 13.5 billion kwacha. There's been 13.8 billion kwacha. Has anybody been caught? Is anybody under investigation for these suspicious transactions? Remember that in as much as the report does not come out very clearly as to which names are attached to this, the report that goes to the head of state and the report that remains there has the details. Who has been caught? Is anybody under investigation? It doesn't matter, Buchi, if one argues that, yes, this money was properly earned, but if for one reason or the other, these people just didn't declare taxes. Do you know how much money? That's already $10 billion. Huh? This is $10 billion in questionable transactions over the past 5 years. Yeah? And yet, an average Zambian continues to suffer. They are going without food. Our people are only having 1 meal per day. Most of our youths remain unemployed. They're just looking for a bit of capital to start up a small factory, a small carpentry shop, a small saloon, a small barber shop. There's no one to help them. And leaders in government today can turn a blind eye to $10 billion, as is reported in the reports over the past 5 years. So really, when you tell me that the cases have been closed, they are not supposed to be closed. Zambians need an explanation. If there's so much money exiting, you see, you actually have you have this challenge, which on one hand, we're busy borrowing money. We're busy borrowing money. The government is busy borrowing. They are all over. Comrade Msokotwane is in and out with a begging bowl. He's at the IMF every other day. But there's so much money that is leaving the country. Even if we're to collect taxes from $10 billion, we'll have some $2 billion, $1.5 billion dollars, as it were. But these transactions have happened in Zambia. The reports have showed that this money actually passed through a banking system and left the country. And FIC reported them, they flagged them off as suspicious transactions. So corruption with Ministry of Health, the US ambassador was very specific. There are some decisions, some actions he wanted to see. Some people needed to be dismissed. It was not Muchima. The challenges at Ministry of Health did not happen when Muchima was there. So has anything happened? Do you know that there's been problems under the energy subsector, electricity and fuel? The use of the pipeline? There's been challenges there. Okay? There's been challenges on the importation and exportation of power. Has anybody been fired? Has anybody been disciplined? There's a challenge on the dual carriageway, and how it was contracted. How the contract is being managed. They can allow a contract of that magnitude to go for a year without a consultant on site. Who's being cheated there? That's taxpayers' money. That's my money. That's your money. Okay? That Comrade Milupi can turn a blind eye to a contractor being on site without a consultant and allowing him to work as they wish. That is corruption. Certainly that is corruption. Remember, corruption is in decisions also. Corruption is in administration. Corruption is in policy, as it were. So why are they managing these things in this way? So for me, if you tell me that colleagues have been cleared, we know very well that Attorney General's chambers was signing frivolous consent judgments, and that's how cadres were getting money out of government. We know these stories. This was said by a commissioner of the Anti-Corruption Commission. He said state chambers are being used for corruption. Why has it taken so long? If those transactions were innocent, why has it taken 3 years for them to be cleared? So this government must be serious. They should be serious with what they are doing. They should not take Zambians for granted. Zambians are watching, and Zambians are really not happy with the way that they're conducting themselves.
Let's move and respond to some of the questions that are coming from the public. One is coming through from Paul Chilufiamweshi, who says Zambia's debt crisis remains a major constraint on growth as well as public services. What specific steps will your administration take to restructure Zambia's external and domestic debt without resorting to austerity measures that deepen poverty?
Yes, Chilufia. I think that the starting point is that we must understand why we contract debt in the first place. You know that yesterday, Comrade Msokotwane was on the floor of the House to give a very flowery report about how the economy is performing. And one of his members of parliament, I think, stood up to talk about how we have had surpluses, budget surpluses, and so on. It took Honorable Mtoto Kafuaya, Honorable member from Lunte, to correct the position that actually we've been running budget deficits right from the time the UPND came into power. We've been borrowing because of these deficits. We are not able to meet our, the budget requirements, as it were. So government has had to borrow both from the domestic market and the foreign markets, as it were. So our argument, Paul Chilufia, has been that we need to get to a point sooner than later where the net benefit, our net benefit from our minerals should be enough to even sustain our budgets. That's the bottom line. The feeling of most of us, having been in parliament for 10 years now, I know for sure that we are not getting the benefit from our mineral resource. Number two, we also must be able to reorganize our mining sector. It's a very big sector. We've got very good examples, Paul. Like the Ghanaian president recently visited, on account of just realignment and restructuring of their own internal arrangements to do with gold mining, they've been able to bank $10 billion. This is the money that we're looking for. So with proper leadership, with leadership that listens, with leadership that is structured, we should be able to reorganize our mining sector. And once our mining sector is organized, we'll get enough from our minerals. There will be no need for us to borrow.
Patrick Chishimba says it's well known that you will change the country like you changed our district through supporting youths in different empowerment, delivering development in all 12 wards, and being in the middle of encouraging the youths. We love you and we look forward to working with you. I think
Patrick, yeah, that was my youth chairman. That was my youth chairman. Yes, in Bemba they say, "Ichikwanka wachimwena kumampalanya." Patrick Chishimba is from Porokoso. He was my youth chairman, and we ran a number of programs with him to do with the youths. We did, besides sport, we supported youths in carpentry. We got them equipment, just like we've been talking. We've been talking at the national scale. But if you ask me, because of Patrick, I would like to say that most of the things that we talk about are things that have been done before at constituency level. If you go to Mporokoso, you find that the Member of Parliament supported the youths with equipment. He supported them with training. This is not only in carpentry, it's also in metal fabrication. Other youths were trained in truck driving. Youths were trained on operating heavy-duty equipment. So we had a number of programs that we were running. And Patrick Chishimba was one of the, he was my councillor and the youth chairman that I actually worked with to improve, the livelihoods of many of these youths. Thank you, Patrick.
Another one from Wellington, Chilesha, who says your passion for excellence is well demonstrated when you were a Northern Province Minister. Water project in every district, feeder roads network, and as well as rural electrification and many others. I think I'll add this one to Chola Habene, who says, what is your comment on the strange happenings with Honorable Nundwe Bright, who was praising President Hichilema when giving a speech?
Well, thank you, Wellington Chesha, thank you very much. Thank you for your support. I still want to work with the youths, Wellington. I know that we did something with the youths and for the youths. I want to tell you, Wellington and Patrick, and indeed Chola Habene, that I stand here as a big brother, as a biggie, ready to work with you. I want to hear you. I want to know what you think you can do, given the skills and the talents that you have, and what exactly government can do for you. That's where we come in. Yeah, so Chola Habene is talking about my dear brother, Bright Nundwe. I didn't listen to the speech. Of course, I heard a number of comments. You see, especially for the young leaders, what is important is that you must understand when you vie for leadership, what do you want? You see, to be in opposition, you must understand that you are now in opposition. What is expected of you as an opposition leader? Certainly, as an opposition leader, you're not expected to be a praise singer. If something has been done properly, you can just keep quiet. That's enough acknowledgement. You haven't attacked it. Your job is checks and balances and to be able to offer oversight. Don't be quick to only see what the ruling party is doing well. You are the people's representatives. When you go to parliament, play by the ear. Listen to the youths like the big is doing. You have to listen to the youths. When you listen to the youths, you listen to the women. What is she saying? Okay? What are the students saying? What are the civil servants saying? So Buchi, you must go there as a person who's a delegate for and on behalf of the Zambian people. So as you walk into parliament, as a member of parliament, you should be able to say, okay, the civil servants are saying there hasn't been any serious increase, to their conditions of service for the past 1 year. They should be able to say what the civil servants have now, they are failing to get through. The civil servants are saying, why don't we introduce a debt swap for us to improve our livelihoods? You should be able to say, the youths in my area are complaining about unemployment. The youths are saying, They want to get involved in some economic activity. They have no capital, they have no equipment. So you are not going there to begin to clap. Listen to the people in your constituency. The number one thing about leadership is you must listen to the people. You must play by the ear. So certainly, if you look at the problems the people are facing today, I don't see how a leader in the opposition would wake up and begin to praise the current government without addressing the many challenges that the people are facing caused by the same government. How would you turn? How would you turn to make them to account? People are suffering, Buchi, okay? People, the cost of living is very high. The only thing the UPND have are some decorated figures about the drop in inflation, some decorated figures about how the reserves have grown, but nobody feels that on the ground.
During the presidential address, the president said that the people will soon feel the impact of those inflation, single digit, which he said like it's even earlier than expected.
How soon is soon? President Hakainde Hichilema should be reminded that he was only given 5 years to perform. In this year, unfortunately, these are politics. Huh? There is nothing he's going to do this year that the Zambian people praise him for. It's basically electioneering. It's just campaigning. Okay? How possible is it that the past 3 years, Buchi, you've had some serious load shedding, and suddenly there's water in the Kariba this year because they're going to vote. Okay? But how many businesses have collapsed? How many saloons have gone down? How many carpentry shops have gone down? How many small businesses today have wrapped up on account of this load shedding? Remember that most of these youths, like Patrick and his friends in Wellington, they may have borrowed 200,000 kwacha by way of loan from CDF, and they're expected to pay. How are they going to pay this money? Because they got equipment and got some materials, and there's been no power. Tomorrow they'll lose their houses. Whose fault? It was actually this government's fault. So today, if President Hakainde Hichilema wants to switch on power, he wants to reduce the cost of meal, he wants to do roads, it's too late. It is too late. It's mere electioneering, okay? They want to confuse people and say things, no ways. So to say that very soon people begin to see, no. President Hakainde Hichilema was making his promises, even giving timelines. Huh? He was giving timelines. 10 hours, 14 hours, was that the case? So a term for a president is only 5 years. And I'm afraid to tell you, Butch, that President Hakainde Hichilema's time is up.
Well, let's talk about you and what your plan is, especially the roadmap going forward. We've already seen the Ichabache movement for good governance has come on board. What's the way forward for the rest of the year? What should people expect for Tonse Alliance?
Well, Tonse Alliance is out there, to unite the opposition. We're out there to unite the opposition. So we are reaching out to civil society organizations and indeed opposition political parties. Yeah, for most of last year and the other year, I think what people witnessed were opposition political parties, exchanging words and these differences. We have said no. There's no time for that. The Zambian people do not want to see a fragmented opposition. The fact that we've come out, we've organized other political parties, we've been able to go for a Congress where I was elected as president. I want to call upon other parties to come and join us so that we come up with some critical mass. We come up with a force that will be able to stand against the incumbent and against the ruling party in the next couple of months. That's what we are doing. So we have a number of interesting programs that are coming up throughout the year, and of course a number of maybe on Saturday or the other next week we should be receiving some new members coming to join. So we are really growing as an alliance and want to encourage many other alliances out there and political parties to join Tonse. Tonse is the way to go.
Lastly, your message to the young people. You've coined yourself Zabige. What's your message to the young people? And as far as we approach the elections going forward in this particular year.
Yeah. So like I said earlier, Zabige has come. Zabige is there to walk with you, to work with you, to also listen to you, and together begin to build this nation. So we have a number of programs that we want to start developing with the youths. We want to understand fully. Remember what I said, Buchi. You need to listen to the youths, okay? The youths in the art industry. Okay, what are they saying? How best can we help them? Okay, the youths in farming, how best can we help them? The youths in manufacturing, okay? The youths in all these other sectors that we're talking about. Remember, our aim is not to discriminate. We will not come to you to say, because you have no degree, you have no diploma, you have no certificate, you have no grade 12 certificate or grade 9, you are isolated. As long as you're a Zambian youth, we believe that there's something in you. You're either good with your hands, you're either good with your voice, you're good at something. And that is exactly what we want to find out. So working together with Ichawaiche, Binu Mpundu, Chabot, and many others, will now begin to sit and look at our youth programs that will be able to implement. But these will not end up on paper. These will not end up in paper. Today was a defining moment. Today is a turning point for the youths in this country. The youths now will not be mere spectators or only employed when it's time for campaigns, and then they're bystanders when we are in government. Right from the beginning, we are starting this journey together. We are going to go into government together. You will see some young ministers taking up very critical roles, some young permanent secretaries, some young DCs, as it were, because they've got what it takes. They are educated, they've got the energy, they've got the innovation. So in all these sectors, we are able to place youths and move this country forward. So the answer to their problem is now here, is the beginning.
Thank you very much for joining us on BM8 Unfiltered. And remember, this program was designed so that you can interact with Honorable Brian Mundubile, who is Tonse Alliance President and 2026 candidate for the general elections come August 13. We have been live on the Brian Mundubile Facebook page, on the Ifinto Nilungu Facebook page, on Hot FM, on the Changala Mwaume Facebook page as well. Also, follow us on TikTok, that's BM8 Unfiltered, as well as YouTube. Leave us those particular comments, and when we come back, we'll have Honorable Brian Mundubile answer all your questions. My name is Buchi, and this is a wrap for tonight.
BM8 UNFILTERed. BM8 UNFILTEred.